Let's start with our first session of this technical knowledge sharing. And to chair the session today, we have our CMMI Warden, Capt. Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, can you please come on the desk? Captain Gajanan is a distinguished leader in the maritime and logistics industry with a robust portfolio of roles and achievements. Serving as the Managing Director of Cordelia Marine Services UAE. By the way, he's based in Dubai. He's come all the way to Mumbai to help CMMI conduct this seminar. Thank you, sir. With 18 years of sailing experience, plus 5 years ashore in various capacities, Captain Karanjikar has a profound understanding of the complexities of the shipping industry. His specialties lie in the maritime and logistics, multimodal transport, supply chain excellence, and coastal shipping. In addition to his primary roles, Captain Karanjikar also is an authorized flag inspector, so beware of him, ESG auditor, a verifier, certified class surveyor, ICS chartered shipbroker, head of the Seafarers' Rights Committee, and a certified marine surveyor. He is a professor of practice and maritime warranty surveyor, holding prestigious titles such as Sustainability Ambassador, Speaker, Metamorphic Leader, Change Agent, and a Global Advisor on various initiatives. He is a founder of MaritimeChangemakers.org, a platform dedicated to advocating for the seafarers' rights, and the global advisor for rescuing every Indian seafarer overseas. Or rather, every Indian overseas, not necessarily seafarer. Captain Karanjikar, as I mentioned, is a warden of CMMI, and today he is going to chair this session. By the way, he was instrumental in starting a new chapter of CMMI in Nasik, and he is a founder chairman of CMMI Nasik chapter. So, welcome, Captain Karanjikar, all the way from Dubai. Welcome, sir. Stage is all yours. You have all the speakers.
Namaskar. Good morning, everyone. Very important theme today. At the backdrop of BRICS, SCO, and geopolitical tensions growing in the region, India becoming Viksit Bharat is paramount. There is no replacement of that. So the thought has been really sowed into Indian ethos very rightly at the right time, and India to have a global opinion and geopolitical opinion in the stage today is very important. So thank you CMMI for this wonderful theme of two thanks to them. One is reviving that maritime spectrum, which was a signatory event of CMMI along with Maritime Potpourri. And second is to do this theme of Viksit Bharat. Very important as we dwell upon it as to how maritime will contribute to this. I would definitely call upon today's speakers, and let me add a word, eminent speakers. Why? Because they have themselves dwell upon the subject in order to take us to a journey as to how mercantile marine or a commercial navy will take India to the Viksit Bharat. I mean, with due respect of all the agenda of government, we don't see maritime being featured particularly there. Despite blue economy, despite maritime sector having a huge potential in adding to the government, national economy. However, we shall do that. And CMMI is done rightly, being the first organization in India to bring this topic onto the forefront, getting professionals to speak and dwell upon it. And of course, a white paper will follow, which will be sent to PMO to see as to what potential India has. So let me call upon stage on the stage the speakers of today, and then we will follow the proceedings. Let me call upon Captain Anish Joseph. Please come, sir. Let me call upon Shri Rajeeva Sinha. He's been introduced to all very well, and I will introduce the speaker before the speech. And the third speaker is Mr. H.V. Ramesh. Sir, are you there? Please. Round of applause, guys. So before Captain Anish starts on his topic of Red Sea, which you all know has been a bone of contention for the shipping industry and supply chain management. Captain Anish Joseph, of course, is very well known to everyone in the shipping industry. And despite being Deputy Nautical Advisor cum Senior Deputy Director of General Shipping, Technical and Maritime Security, that is why he's speaking on Red Sea. Because he heads that Maritime Security Department as a technical branch of Ministry of Shipping and Surface Transport. So you see the expanse of his talks. He's got 3 decades of experience in shipping. Captain Anish also holds Master of Science in Maritime Affairs from prestigious WMU, Malmo, where he has graduated with distinction, and he was awarded Kalmar Prize by WME on behalf of Kalmar Global, recognizing him as a leader among his peers. He is also certified and a member of an Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, United Kingdom. He is currently serving as a member of International Oil Pollution Compensation (IOPC) Funds Joint Audit Body, and Captain Anish also is empaneled as an auditor by IMO for the IMSAS, that is the flag state audits of flag state countries. He has a close association with CMMI, and CMMI recently conferred upon him a fellowship because CMMI spells out to the maritime industry as a think tank. So we need people who have been there, done that, made differences. Captain Anish, allow me to call you for speaking, but before that, Captain Basim, if you could come on stage and speak about on the same theme line as to what CMMI is exactly doing towards Viksit Bharat. And then we will have, Captain Anish Joseph speaking on Red Sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Gajanan. Actually, my role was already done in the morning, but in the tea break, some people came and they said, what is the maritime fraternity, especially CMMI, is doing towards the Viksit Bharat. I spoke about the Viksit Bharat before. First, few pointers. So I start with first in collaboration with our sister organization, Institute of Marine Engineers, IMEI, and CMMI together. IMEI President Mr. Rajeeva is sitting here, sir. I will just give you a few points. When I say Viksit Bharat, I want people to please clap and feel proud about your own country. CMI and IMEI together has already launched an e-library program, wherein the various technical books of both nautical and engineering in collaboration with MUI will be made available online to the student free of cost. We are hoping they should see the day of the light before the end of the year. Viksit Bharat. Next, along with the IMEI, BES is already conducting exams all over for the rating all over India. We have already gone into digitalization, where Mr. Captain Vadhavan is playing a very major role. Apart from that we are also looking in, we did a gap analysis of the inland waterways, of coastal vessels, and we found their seafarers need lots of training. So we are looking very deep into the skill development in that. That is Viksit Bharat. Don't forget the class. Next, think tank. CMI representative, IMEI representative, industry representative from Mata, Posma, they all recently, people went to IMO to give their thesis and took part in deliberation for the STCW, also in MbPC earlier and been going on in MSc. And that is the collaboration is done by the experts who go there along with the DG of shipping officials, ministry officials, and present papers to put the India point across. That is Viksit Bharat. Mr. Rajeeva Sinha, our chief guest, spoke about port development, logistics. So I'm very proud to say that CMI, in collaboration with IIM Mumbai, started first of its kind 2 years MBA program in logistics, supply chain and maritime management. The inaugural course started on the the inauguration was done on the 2nd of August this year in 2024. And that is, what is that? That is going beyond what CMI was doing earlier. We have tied up with the most premier institute in India, that is IIM Mumbai, which is #1 in logistics and supply chain. CMI is providing maritime professionals and that kind of a consultancy. And that 2-year program is going on now, already running, and the second one will be starting by June or July. Very soon, the flyers will be coming out to you, especially for the youngsters who are saying, this is something you should need to look into. That is the future. You know, Indian logistic cost is currently around 15% of GDP. The aim is, the government of India aim is that by 2030 it should come to single digit. It should come less than 10%. And that is where CMI has collaborated with IIM and started this course to spread the knowledge and bring that cost down. That is Viksit Bharat. Clap, clap. Many other skills development things, as I said initially in the opening time, it's a holistic approach. I will also, like a lot of officers and cadets are sitting here. Few of the officers came to me there from MSc. I am so grateful to them also, sir, along with others. Please become a member of CMMI. You know, we started, this code has started that to bring more people, so we reached out to the batch masters, we reached out to the NCB vessels, and we have allowed them to become a CMI member as associates. If you are a COC holder, second mate COC holder or a mate COC holder, you can become associate member. Once you get your master, you can become a full member. Please do it now. Become a part of the progress. That is Viksit Bharat. Last but not least, this code, I am proud to announce, I mean, a lot of wardens are sitting here. We are reaching out to deck cadets now. Captain Gajanan is a person. We also incorporated that somehow we reach to the deck cadets in the all training institute across India and tell them about CMMI right when they are in the college. That program is already passed in the AGM, last AGM. I am thankful to all the members, Warden, our office bearers. This is what we will be telling you about CMMI. Please be a part of that. There will be some technical lectures, there will be papers, there will be prizes. Very soon, this thing will be starting and coming to you. Actually, the program has already started, but we have not given it the name of the CMI where we are going to induct cadets in the support. So that's about the Viksit Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain Basim. Thank you very much, Captain Basim. I would now call upon the speaker, Captain Anish Joseph, to deal upon the topic of Red Sea, the current situation, crisis, and how does it impact all of us.
Thank you, Captain Gajanan. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank CMMI for inviting us, having such a interesting session focused on the theme of Viksit Bharat. My topic, which I would be spending about 30 minutes, will be dwelling on what is the current topic of interest. Especially, I can see a lot of seafarers here in this forum, which is actually well appreciated. And my main focus will be on how it escalated, what were the risks involved, what is the current landscape, eventual impacts, few of the incidents which I wanted to highlight, which we have dealt with, and the efforts and initiatives. Currently, it's a very time. you have multiple geopolitical conflicts happening worldwide. Starting off with the Russia-Ukraine war, which had its effects as a spillover. Even though it's not a very prominent sea route, shipping got affected in that region. Subsequently, you have other issues cropping up. Recently, we saw the political turmoil which happened in Bangladesh. But simultaneously, one of the major sea lanes of communication, the Red Sea, got affected. Starting off with the televised hijacking of the vessel Galaxy Leader. And I think mostly, all of us in the room would have seen that video. And it's a video which has left a big impact on all of us. 1 year, almost a year in making now. Unfortunately, all the seafarers are still in captivity. A subsequent video is also in circulation. I think you must have seen that also, where it is being used as a tourist exhibition for their localites, and you've seen what condition the seafarers have been. Very, very difficult. Even though there were no Indians on board that vessel, but it still, touches a raw spot in our heart. November last year was where we had a series of incidents. Starting off this particular incident, it started off an escalation, specifically in December. So December you had a flare up of a lot of incidents which happened because of the hostile Hamas conflict, and the Houthi which supported started venting their frustration on merchant shipping. Navies responded. You had the Operation Prosperity Guardian, and which constituted of the navies from US, UK, European Union, and few other countries. Indian Navy also supported. They had what we call as Operation Sankalp already operational in that region. They had a naval warship already deployed there. Subsequently, they shifted multiple assets. The operation is called POPG, piracy operations in that region. Eventually, US and British, started attacking the Houthi rebel sites in Yemen, and which escalated the situation even further. So you had a high-risk profiling of ships being done, where focus was only on the vessels which were going to Israel or having any Israel connection by way of the operators or the owners. It escalated into US, UK interests also. So we had an increased number of ships being targeted. And subsequently the proxy war between Israel and Iran, which has flared up, and you would have seen what happened yesterday. Starting off somewhere in October, where Iran launched 200 ballistic missiles. Now Israel has decided to retaliate, and it sets up a chain of action. What were the specific incidents which I wanted to highlight? Multiple incidents have happened. Statistics I'll show later. Galaxy Leader I've highlighted. You have a Marlin Luanda, St. Nicholas. Marlin Luanda I'll dwell upon later. We have the Rubimar incident, the first incidence of a ship sinking. Subsequently, you have the ruin, the piracy incidents, Crew Confidence, Tutor, the USV attack which happened. Again, I'll dwell on it later. And Vadhavan, and the most recent August, which I missed out on the slide, was the Sonian incident. A tanker which is leaking oil, now being salvaged and taken to a port for repairs. What are the risks involved when you are traveling those regions? So you had the density map which you see doesn't leave any space for shipping to move. A very narrow corridor, one of the important sea lanes of communication, and these are the incidents which have happened. 110 drone attacks, 124 missile attacks, 5 vessels were seized, waterborne IEDs, 30 suspicious approaches, 21 threats over radio. You can see the number of incidents which have been listed there. And in all probability, many of the incidents not reported. So this will be on the lower side. And there have been instances where, there have been attacks, but they have missed the ship. Or attacks where some other ship got hit in the process of that attack. Their target was someone else. Because when an incident happens, then we try and identify what is the reason for that attack. And sometimes there is no logic to it. However, of late, that logic has also been, removed. I'll explain to that in a subsequent slide. What are they using? What are they using? These are the type of, they call it the loitering munitions. I'm sure you must have seen the Occam's paper on how to counter this loitering munitions. Range? We had a hit on a ship called Pluto, very close to the Indian coast. They have range up to 2,000 kilometers, 2,500 kilometers. These are the ones which they use. Mostly they used, improvised things which didn't have very specific honing devices. A lot of misses happened. Of late, they have been doing more of targeted attacks. Why are they called loitering missions? Because they loiter over the ship. If they have the capability, especially the drones, they can be launched from the land. They can be launched from ships. They identify the targets. And how do they go? I'll show you one of the attacks. Again, they are very, the Houthis, they have their own Twitter channel. I'm sure you must have seen many of these incidents. They do a lot of propaganda, and this is what they posted. So you can see this particular vessel called Cyclade. I'll just fast forward it a little more.
Hello.
Check. I'm just fast forwarding it and just skipping to the portion where it's going to hit the ship. So you can see it's being remotely tracked by the Houthis, and they went and hit the bridge, the aft part of the bridge, and that's where the video is. And then we have the new unmanned crew boats which are being used. The most commonly used are these skiffs, the one which was used on Pluto. They basically use fishing vessels, give them propulsion. Again, 2 videos. And I will dwell upon 2 interesting facets on the videos subsequently later. You can look at the first incident, which was the tutor. You have armed security personnel on board. And you can see this particular fishing vessel.
Come here.
They have kept mannequins on board the fishing vessel, and they're just looking at it.
Okay, inside.
Impact, explosion. This is a subsequent video, I didn't post it. And the ship sank. Okay, again another video. Similar unmanned. When we put armed personnel, armed security guards on board, nobody envisaged that they may have a different role. They fired on the USC, it exploded before the impact. So again, it's a very challenging thing. The first security personnel did not react, and in the second case they reacted. But again, it's a difficult situation because it's very difficult to hit at that range, and they were lucky and they could basically explode that particular IED which was there on the board. What is the current landscape? What's happening? So you had the first incident happened in November, sudden flare-up of incidents in December. People started getting aware, the Navy started positioning. If the naval vessel was in location and if information of a drone attack was happening, Navy could take countermeasures. A lot of so attacks could be, the countermeasures allowed the naval response, or eventually some of them missing the ships. There was a fall in the number of incidents happening. Eventually, again in June, there has been a flare-up. This is the total figures which we have, which has been recorded by the Information Fusion Center of Indian Ocean. 260 incidents. Liberia, Panama, Marshall Islands, different flags affected. They had charterers, they had owners linked to these high-risk profiling which we had earlier mentioned, those countries. With respect to Indian, we also responded to 21 specific incidents where we had Indian seafarers on board. Incidentally, they have never attacked an Indian flag vessel till date. However, what is very important is that there has been a broader targeting which has been observed of late. Whether it is by purpose or accidentally, it is not exactly understood. But what is important is that now they have started targeting vessels which are not having any linkages to Israel, US or British. But if you see, the maximum number of targets have been between the three of them. The half of the pie chart actually deals with them. But of late, this no direct association have started increasing. Outdated association also is happening. There have been cases where MSC vessel was attacked because even though it was not having any Israeli linkages, and so if you notice, most of the incidents happen within the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden. There were a few isolated incidents which happened in the Arabian Sea and in the Western Indian Ocean area. But of late, we had 2 incidents which happened in the Mediterranean also, which was again of concern. 2 other challenges which have come is you have the uncrewed submersible vehicles, which are being used now very frequently. And the second thing is you have multiple attacks happening on one ship. So that's what happened with Soyunin. In that vessel, we had almost 7 to 9 attacks happening. What has it caused? How was it affected? You can see the graph which is showing the northbound and southbound movement of specific type of vessels from January 2023, and you can see November to December how steep a fall there has been from 1965 total number of ships and the various colors representing the types of ships under the north or southbound transit, and you have it dropping down to 947. The Red Sea, it accounts for close to 12% of global trade, and currently 95% of the shipping has been rerouted. Complete change in dynamics. When we talk about sustainability, you just imagine additional, let's say on an average, additional 10 days of voyage which you are doing. You are having just-in-time concepts being, affected. 2 weeks of delay in berthing, which is happening. The Red Sea crude shipments have fallen down from 12% to 6%. LNG transit through this region is almost come to a standstill. How it has affected the commercial vessels, specifically those coming to India? The cost for diverting through the Cape of Good Hope, we have got close to 110%. The tonnage for your clean petroleum products, the availability, there is a possibility of not availability of this particular types of vessels for taking the refined oil from India. 2 to 3 weeks of disruption. India's exports are close to 80% to Europe through the Red Sea region, and increased freight costs, which I explained earlier. Now the new dynamics which are set in again, Israel-Iran standoff. Even though India does not currently import Iranian crude, we have a lot of Russian crude coming in. But there can be a lot of challenges if this conflicts, because there will be definitely spillover of that into shipping. Just wanted to highlight few of the incidents which we have dealt with. We have got our MbPA casualty response being handled by our team at Anish Shipping. We have it being headed by Captain Harinder Singh. We have had those incidents happening at different times. Information comes, we coordinate with the Navy through a fusion center called the Information Fusion Center, Indian Ocean Region. Specific steps have been brought in. Just wanted to highlight, how it translated. November, December, these were the attacks. Camp Pluto happened close to, 10 nautical miles outside our exclusive economic zone. We are, quite lucky that there has never been an incident where Indian seafarers have, died, but multiple incidents have happened. Sai Baba was a vessel on which Indian cargo. Leela Norfolk. Indian Navy boarded the vessel there. Marcos came on board. It was a televised incident. We have something called the anti-piracy contingency plan, and that was initiated. Marlin, Rwanda. One incident where we had where Navy boarded and went to fight the fire, which was beyond their normal duty of security. They went into a safety. The Rubimar incident, which I explained, the first incident where a ship sank. The video you saw, The last one was the Cordelia moon and it's been quite a little bit. What is important in this particular context is how it affects the seafarers. So I actually really appreciate, I can see a lot of young faces here. We have seafarers from the Maritime Training Institute. We also have chief mate candidates, attending this session. I appreciate you taking your time and coming and being a part of this session. There are, these are the challenges which the seafarers are facing: the safety, psychological, career concerns, contracts being extended, training. What kind of training to give for these seafarers? We are not building up a military force. Yesterday we went to the Intertango conference, and the Director General was, mentioning an oath which Indian Army takes, where they pledge their life for the country. But eventually you see a seafarer, that's what they are doing for us. I think they all deserve a huge round of applause because they are the biggest heroes in this particular adventure. They are the biggest heroes. Without them, the shipping will come to standstill. Piracy was already there. There was a piggybacking of incidents which happened because of the Red Sea trying to, divert the attention of Indian Navy and other naval forces. And you have seen a few of these incidents translate into, one specific incident, Ruin. I'll just come to it a little later. So what have we done on part of DG shipping? These are the number of incidents affecting Indian seafarers. 541 seafarers affected till date. These statistics reflect from 2007 onwards. Majority of the incidents are related to Somalia, and then a flare-up which happened in the Gulf of Guinea. We have been lucky to have been in a position to have brought back all the seafarers except for 4. 3 of them unfortunately succumbed to health conditions during their captivity, and they were long captivity in Somalia. The 4th one was missing incidentally. He tried to abandon the ship, and eventually there is no trace of his whereabouts subsequently. What are the efforts from our side? We have our own anti-piracy contingency plan. This contingency plan, we had to utilize it for the 2 responses. The specific one was the Ruin, where we eventually ended up capturing the pirates. We have our surplus in place, naval escorts being given, security training. We have, very consciously conducting a lot of workshops, security workshops. Most of this data is also available in public domain, and this workshop is done in collaboration with the shipping industry and the stakeholders. And our efforts are that the stakeholders then take it back to the ships. Certain good practices which we have seen, we have tried to bring it on board. Internationally, we have coordinated. We are part of various organizations which work together. They consist of the littoral states. They consist of the countries who are invested in this particular dialogue. And there are organizations like the Contact Group of Piracy on the coast of Somalia, which is an organization consisting of not only the governments of various countries, but also the NGOs and other bodies. A very successful kind of forum. And they were one of the major reasons why the Somali piracy could be brought down. We have a dedicated security branch in the directorate. Shipowners, how they have done. One focus area has been the risk profiling, rerouting of vessels. That's what happens. Armed guards on board. However, the effectiveness of armed guards to thwart a drone or a UAV attack is, or USV attack is a challenge itself. what are the current initiatives? We have developed something through the collaboration with IFCIOR, which is a reporting system, and certain SOPs have been developed. And this reporting system is so robust that it allows reporting not only in instances where there are Indian flag ships, but in instances where Indians are abroad on foreign flag ships. Also, we have opened up this reporting to ships which are neither Indian flag without Indian seafarers. And let me just highlight, this Maritime Anti-Piracy Act. Maritime Anti-Piracy Act is an act which came in December 2022. And the importance of this is we have an act very specifically focused, allowing, empowering, giving the teeth to various organizations, especially the Navy and the Coast Guard, not only in capturing the pirates, but also prosecution of the pirates. It allows even up to death sentence, Why is it important? In 2011 and 12, in multiple anti-piracy operations, the Coast Guard and Indian Navy captured close to 110 pirates. They went through a legal system which, was heavily reliant on IPC, and eventually those pirates got released after 7 years in custody when they completed their term, because that time they didn't have those, provisions which are there in the Anti-Piracy Act. And then you have a sudden flaring up of the incidents happening in the Gulf of Aden. So this act gives a lot of empowerment. We have very specific advisories which I explained about. Most of you must be aware. We have SOPs established for specific cargo movements where we monitor one-to-one, taking care of the cargo interests of India. And the most important thing is we had a single warship which has been continuously being deployed from 2009 onwards. Subsequently, when the piracy got suppressed in the Somalian coast, that vessel continued as part of an operation called Operation Circle. And we have multiple assets which include both aerial and ships. More than 10 assets which are there. Navy has been constantly monitoring. They even respond to ships which do not have Indians on board. A very classic example is the ruin incident. Ruin happened in 2 stages. In somewhere in December, the pirates boarded. The crew went into the citadel. If they the as part of the response mechanism, because the naval warship was not in vicinity, they deployed a P-8I aircraft which communicated. Which they couldn't establish communication with the ship, but the information we got was that the seafarers were safe in the citadel. Eventually, what happened was the seafarers, after 3-4 hours in citadel, they got a feeling that the pirates had left, and they came out of the citadel. They got caught. One of the chief officers got injured in the process, and eventually the Navy went and chased this vessel. They went into the territorial waters of Somalia. Into the territorial water of Somalia, Indian Navy cannot enter because it's a sovereign. They have the sovereign rights. That there was a United Nations Security Council resolution in place which earlier allowed entry into Somalian waters because the Somali government had allowed that. But in 2022, that right, that extension of that particular resolution got expired, and the Somali government did not permit. So the Navy could not, continue its hot pursuit right into the waters. Eventually, the pirates got some wisdom and decided to use this vessel as a mothership, and they came out in somewhere in March, and that's when this incident happened. Navy engaged. Incidentally, we also had a session with Commodore Sinsuwal. Sharad had come in to deal shipping, and he was commanding the ship, and he had given a presentation on the activity how they had engaged with the pirates, and it was a very interesting session. This, what I'm showing you right now, that video is also available online. I think most of you must have seen it. First instance of, any navy capturing, 35 of them were, captured. The pirates were captured, all the seafarers got rescued. The pirates have been brought to the Yellow Gate police station. Now we have the Maritime Anti-Piracy Act to prosecute them. Incidentally, certain intelligence which we have received, these pirates were in operation since, even in incidents which happened 2010-12. Yeah. So, one or two of the pirates have been identified. So you can imagine, how strong their network is. 2 days back, the weather was not so good, so suddenly you found a decline in the activity of this action groups, which we call them. And you find 2 days back a new action group consisting of Somali pirates have left the shores, and you may find some incidents again happening, So in closing, I would like to specifically highlight security when we talk about is something which we need everybody to act together. We have international organizations, groups, think tanks which work. We call, what you see here is for the Gulf of Guinea, we have something called the Friends of Gulf of Guinea. The Contact Group on Piracy of Coast of Somalia, a very successful group. A group which constituted of both of government and non-government organizations, resulting in suppressing. Now the group has got disbanded, and they have come out with a revised group called Contact Group on Illicit Maritime Activities, CGIMA. India has been a part of that group, and the purpose of this group has been to holistically look at other maritime threats, because there are new threats which are coming in the maritime domain. We have illegal, contraband, smuggling, human trafficking, IUU fishing. Regionally, we are, you have the Djibouti Code of Conduct under the IMO. India is having an observer status, but we are very strongly working together to become a full member. That's what we have been trying. We incidentally, even DG Shipping, we have participated in all these international meetings, both Djibouti Code of Conduct, the CGPCS, CGIMA, FOGG. State-specific, the ISPS rules have been notified very recently. We had the Maritime Anti-Piracy Act 2022. And industry initiatives, even an initiative like what CMMI has been doing, other parties have been doing, is educating, bringing forth awareness, capacity building, very important. These books you must have been already aware of, especially. You have the recap manual, you have got the best management practices, DMP5 for, you have it for the Somalian piracy, and you have the other DMP for the Gulf of Guinea. And on the right, you must have specifically seen the guidelines to hardened vessel and the ship security bridge vulnerability study, which is a document in public domain with by the OCIM. Incidentally, the best management practices again is being revised. They are going to combine the best management practices by focusing on risk-based mitigation of such threats. By December, you will have a new PMP which will come out. So, these are things, initiatives which everybody is working together for. So, in closing, I think a session like this is important. I urge, we have the CMMI here. You are in a position, this is a very, very critical juncture. When in another 10 years from now, you will see that this particular 4 or 5 years will define shipping in the future, because you see a lot of changes happening all around you. Whether it is with respect to, you just see the Panama Canal crisis, the water dying down, the Red Sea, you had an Ever Given incident, and then followed up by this flaring, geopolitical conflicts again, and shipping is what is driving the world. Shipping is what is connecting everybody, person, cargo. We are at a place where you and me, whether you are as a seafarer, you are at a organization, each of you are at a place where you can make a difference. So I urge all of you, and I urge especially the CMMI to work together in trying to see how we can do much more to the industry, because this is an industry where you have a challenge of having the sea blindness, out of sight, out of mind. However, all of us, we are here working for you. I thank CMMI for this opportunity, and I will take any questions later. Thank you.
Very much, Captain Anish Joseph, and very enlightening. So, thank you, sir. Though enlightening and scary session. However, I assure you that CMI will do their best in collaborating with regulators in having more of a discussion forums on this, where the direct seafarers are involved, addressed, advised, and also prepared for the coming onslaught. We are short of time, guys. I'm sorry, Captain Anish Joseph, signaling you from there, but we are short of time. We have. I mean, discussions are interesting, and that is what the time runs out, because everybody then is glued to the discussions like this. Let's move on to our next topic, which is again towards Viksit Bharat, which is about the development plans of Port of Vadhavan, as it is called in Marathi, and maybe it is called as Vadhavan or something like that, in English, but it is a port of Vadhavan, which is a village next to the port. I would call upon Shri Rajeeva Sinha, who has spoken elaborately in the morning about the Viksit Bharat and the theme, and addressed the gathering. He's been introduced very well in the morning, so I won't spend much time in doing a further ado. Mr. Sinha, please.
Okay, we have the feedback forms in your handouts. If you don't have it in your handout, they'll be there outside on the desk over there in front of the door. Please fill in the feedback form and drop it at the door when you go. Thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon. I will not take much time because already it has been announced. There is less time, we are running against time. So, let me begin by saying that you may have heard that time of idea has to come. You may have many ideas in mind, but it does not fructify unless the time of the idea has come. So, time of Vadhavan port has come now. It started in the year 98 when LOI, letter of intent, was given to P&O Ports Australia, which was an arm of P&O Ports London, which has been acquired by DPW, Dubai Port World. So at that time it was given to develop Vadhavan port, but not so big as it is now planned. But it did not happen. That was 98. So now we are in 2024, when after 26 years, this port has finally seen the light of the day by green light from Government of India. It's a massive project and it will make all Indians proud. This kind of investment has not been made in Indian ports so far, till date. This is the location of the port. Now, this project is
of 76,241 crores. And the capacity in terms of tonnage will be 300 million tons. It's basically a container port, which is, as you know, is the most lucrative business in shipping. Nowadays, containers carry, apart from manufactured and semi-manufactured goods, many of the agri-products, rich agri-products. And the general cargo, therefore, has been declining in terms of percentage growth. It's not declining in terms of total tonnage. It's declining in terms of growth because general cargo is still shipped across the countries which have not developed ports or have not reached the stage of their development where the containerization will get any fillip or encouragement. So this is the location of Vadhavan port. I hope you are able to make sense of this. I don't know. This location is 150 kilometers north of Mumbai on Maharashtra coast, close to Gujarat sea coast. Now, this is in Palghar district of Maharashtra, and I hope you are in green is the road. The green shown line is the road which is the dedicated road, and the yellow is the railway line which meets DFCC and Western Railway. So this port will have dedicated. Okay. This one is road. Okay. So this will have a dedicated road which is in green and a dedicated rail line. So it does not interfere with the local traffic and local roads. That's how it has been planned because it's a very big port with huge potential of cargo. And as you can see, it's offshore. Normally, ports are constructed on shore or linked to the shore. But this is totally offshore. The idea of making it offshore is two. One is to reach the draft or the depth of 20 meters, which will allow the biggest of the ships now or even in future, it is expected, to berth there. And secondly, not to acquire land area, mass of land area on the sea coast, which will upset the local population. And in Maharashtra, or maybe on the whole of West Coast, the local population is normally against development of a port, particularly fishermen. So it has taken care to see that these local sensibilities are not hurt. The salient features of the port will be this Vadhavan port. In Marathi it is called Vadhavan. I mean, it is spelled differently in English, but it's a Vadhavan. That is how it is pronounced. Now, this port will be developed on SPV, a special purpose vehicle, which has been registered with the name of Vadhavan Port Project Limited. That's the special purpose vehicle which will be constructing, developing and operating this port. And this SPV is a joint venture between Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority and Maharashtra Maritime Board, which means central and state governments are involved. Central government has 76%, 74% equity, and Maharashtra government through MbPA has 24% equity. This again is the same thing pointing out the rail. It shows on the extreme left the local railway line, that is the Western Railway line and DFC. it shows, and the road is shown in red, the other road. But basic idea of this is to point out the location of Vadhavan on the sea coast, which is in red, and the port limit is by a rectangle in the blue. I hope you are able to make it. This is the expected cargo traffic of Vadhavan port. The total traffic as second line from the bottom is 498 million tons will be the total capacity of the port, planned for 300 million at 65% of the berth occupancy. But idea of the ship should not wait, that's why 65% berth occupancy is calculated for developing this port. But basically, it will be a container port, as you can see. 472 million tons is the container cargo volume. The capacity to which it will be developed is 24 million TEUs. 24 million TEUs only helps this Vadhavan port to come within the 10 biggest container ports of the world. It does not make it number one. Number one continues to be Shanghai, which handles 80 million TEUs alone. And you may like to know, out of the 10 biggest container ports in the world, 7 are in China. All this has happened after the year 95. So in 25 years, China has got exponential growth. And many of you would have sailed to the newest edition there in Shanghai, Yantian, what is the name? That's the island. Newest next to Shanghai. It is linked to Shanghai by 32-kilometer long trestle road. And that is on an island, developed in the island with the 20 meters of depth. Many of you may have sailed there and seen that. It's easy in a place like China to develop it. That place had all fishermen. It was a full community of fishermen living in that island, on that island. China moved all of them. We can't do in our country. That's the price to pay for being a democratic country. You know, in a lighter vein, where dog also can bark freely. You know, unlike in China, they can't. So here the problem is that there are so many lobbies involved, local sensitivity involved, that our development happens in fits and starts, does not happen in one go. Like Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link, it was planned initially, thought initially, conceptualized by late Ratan Tata, who is no more. And then that was in year 85-86, but now it is commissioned. So that's the problem there. So this will be, Vadhavan port will become one of the 10 biggest container ports once fully operational. Yeah, this is a closer view. You can see from the sea coast, the land is jutting out in grey, which is Vadhavan Point, close to the Vadhavan village. And then you can see all the berths are offshore, and it has got a breakwater. That kind of breakwater is nowhere in the country. 10.2 kilometers long. 10.2 kilometers long breakwater, and all the 9 container berths, each container berth will 1,000 kilometers, 1 kilometers. There are 2 phases of this port. One will be, first phase will be 5, 4 or 5, and the remaining container terminals will be phase 2. So ultimately, it will have 9, 4 plus 4 plus 1, 9 container berths to begin with. What is shown here is the first phase in terms of the development. Because of the structure which has been made of this, it's not possible to put that kind of money in one go, because business does not grow just like that. And the structure of the port is landlord port. I hope you are aware of the concept of landlord, and I don't have to explain that. Now, obviously, for this kind of a port, you require huge material. That is mind-boggling to begin with. Though I have worked in port for quite a long time, port in government and also in private sector, and have engaged myself in developing about 11 terminals and ports, India and abroad. I have not seen the requirement of this kind of material and this kind of a port. None of them, of course, was offshore. And even if it was offshore, it was 200, 300 meters from the sea coast, like the way you see in JNP. It's close to the shore. Ultimately, in the port planning, it's very important that you store the cargo or containers closest to the berth, so that your handling cost decreases and your operational efficiency increases, both. So here, we have kept in this plan, which I showed you, that the storage of container is right behind the berth, so that it reduces the cost. And the railway line is also very close from there, so that again, operational efficiency of loading onto railway and unloading from railway to ship becomes less. Idea is again, what was talked of logistics cost. I don't remember where Mr. Pradhan said that logistics cost is 15% of the cost, our cost. 15% is well nigh high. Even China has single digit 9%. And Western countries have even less. This logistics cost ultimately, if you see, makes the goods uncompetitive. The goods are produced on which the transportation cost is loaded on. And transportation cost is something which the industry producing the goods or commodity has no control. But it has to use transportation to reach the market. So logistics cost in that way becomes important. And if you think in terms of large volumes which has to be transported and traded, where the logistics cost makes a big difference. Like the ship's freight makes a big difference, where logistics cost also makes a difference. So the material used, just to give you an idea, for the offshore container or offshore terminals, the land area which would be reclaimed is 1472 hectares, and the borrow puts from where the sand will be brought is 50 kilometers from Vadhavan on Daman coast. We recce the whole coast, and the kind of material we required for reclamation was only available close to Daman coast, which is even from Daman coast, it is 35 kilometers into sea. So it's in open sea. And from there, Vadhavan is 50 kilometers from where it will be brought. And that is how much? That is coming in some other slide. It is 20 million cube of sand which would be transported. It's a mind-boggling if you see the kind of this thing. So this partly I have said already. Yeah, the whole intention of that, which I did not mention, is reduce the logistics cost. Because of that, the design of the port has been made in a manner that ship cargo interface is minimal, at a minimum distance, and cargo to rail is also minimal. Idea of that is that cargo will move directly quickly from the ship to the rail. And berths are planned 1 kilometer each. Sorry, the concession is planned for 1 kilometer each, which means that even the feeder vessels can be berthed there along with the mainline vessels. And therefore transportation of container from mainline or mother vessel to the feeder would also be faster and easier. You would not have heard a concession of 1 kilometer in one go. That is what has been planned. JNP of course did in our intervention the planning for 2 kilometers of berth, which is given to, I think, BSC. So, mode of investment, the investment is huge. I told you 76,000 crores, and it is a debt 30%, sorry, equity 30% and debt 70%. And I'll come to the model, landlord model, where the status of various activities. Yeah. Now, work-wise, the railways work of connecting to dedicated freight corridor, DFC, which is about 14 kilometers from the port, has been given to the Indian Railways. And they will be implementing this to the port. The rail terminal will be common. Most of you would find that rail terminals in most of the port is for each terminal one rail terminal. Each cargo terminal has got a rail terminal. So everybody has one. Now that takes investment, but that investment, part of investment remains idle. It is loaded on to the cargo and therefore it happens. But it's not an efficient operation, adds to logistics cost. So idea is to combine all these containers handled by various terminals into one rail terminal, which will reduce the cost and make faster movement, because DFC, as you know, will carry, DFC rail line will carry 360 containers in one rake, as against 90 or 180 now. So idea is to capture the benefit potential which will be coming out of DFC. Similarly, the road 34 kilometers which links to Mumbai-Ahmedabad highway, the work will be done by NHAI. They will be doing this work, and land acquisition already has started of this. Expected that next year road construction will commence next year after the rains. And only with the construction of the road will the work on the shore will begin, where on the seashore land reclamation will be done and landing jetty will be done for various other work offshore. That is the way work will start. Power is already will be provided by electricity board, which is 12 kilometers of power line offshore, which will be adequate for the port. And the water will be coming from 24 kilometers, because you can't, of course, sea water is planned by reverse osmosis, where the salty water will be made into potable, but that's in future. For the time being, the water will be captured, water will be tapped at 24 kilometers long and will come along with the dedicated road to the port. Now, this may be of interest to you, the project components. What the company will do and where the concessionaires will come. Where PPP, as you know, public-private partnership, where the private sector is invited to take over the commercial activities. The way it is planned, commercial activities entirely will be in the hands of the private sector. The company or the BPPL will not be part of this at all. So if any commercial activity that you talk of, which will be done by BPPL, that will be only pilotage and towage and environment, which is part of the regulation, and that is common. So all the berths will be in private sector, and private sector participation that will be tendered out, and accordingly the private sector will be called upon to bid. So it's the first phase about which I have said. Here, container terminal, which will length of 4,000 meters, 4 berths, it's the first phase. Second phase, another will come. Another 4 will come. Then there is a multi-purpose berth, and roll-off and liquid berths. Here, by design and plan, dirty cargoes have been ruled out. Because we have found in our experience that container terminal operators and container vessels do not want dirty cargo nearby. So we have taken care not to have coal or iron ore kind of cargo here at all. And liquid cargo, of course, has no problem because it comes and gets into pipeline, gets to the tankage, and it is not even visible. And road connectivity, rail connectivity, water supply and power supply, I have already informed you. Now this is allocation of development works. One point where I would like to say, when we are doing this public-private partnership, for the first time ever in port, something is planned, something is designed, which is HAM model, hybrid annuity model. You may not have heard in port hybrid annuity model. That is normally in the road sector. NHAI has been using this model where for investment from the private sector. What is done in HAM model or what will be done here is this, that 20,647,000 crores, 20,647,000 crores, which you see is there here. Yeah. This work, which involves the reclamation and dredging, part dredging, will be done by this model. One more point which I should point out here itself. The navigational channel to the port is only 2.5 kilometers, which will make the navigators happy. 20-25 meters is just outside the port, but 20 meters is the port itself. So it should gladden the heart of navigators that they can easily approach the port and easily get into open sea. So this HAM model, the reclamation, dredging, and also carrying from the borrow pit in Daman the sand and bringing and unloading it here or pumping out here at Vadhavan will be done by this model, which is where we have planned that 40% of the cost of this work government will pay, or the JNPA or BPPL, the SPV will pay as with a structured plan over a period of 5 years when the whole work is done. And next 60% will be paid over a period of 10 years to the company which bids for the project. Okay. No, I finished. Give me how much time? 20 minutes. You are slated 40, I thought 25, so I will finish. I am ready. This is the last point, I think. So, this is the model which is tried for the port first time. Normally, it is done in commercial operations where terminals are operated by the terminal operators, port developers, and they earn and pay to the port, they make the full investment. Here, it is a hybrid, where part of the investment made by the company is paid by the port, and the part will be paid over a period of time, including interest, and the maintenance will be done by them. The whole intention of this plan is to reduce the outgo of government at one point and pay out of operations. So this is something which has been planned in this. I think we have already issued the expression of interest in this. So this is the way the cost is divided. Location, etc. may not be of use to you. Down on offshore I have already said. Approval I have already covered. The status of implementation, I think little bit, 1 minute on that I should be taking, and that will be it. NHAI, which is what the road connectivity NHAI will be doing, the work is awarded and they have already started land acquisition. Rail connectivity, work is already awarded to railways. They have done their survey and that work will start sometime in next year. PPP component is ahead still because it's linked with reclamation, although the berth, so far as berth is concerned, the PPP development of the berths, that will take place 1 year from now after the land reclamation work has started. Water supply contract is awarded, lead supply contract is awarded, EPC etc. that is near shore reclamation tender is already issued, it is there, will be issued on 12th of October, which is done. Material etc. query, that is already identified. So far this work has gone as per plan. Major challenge that remains, many people will ask, what is your challenge? The major challenge for this project is to do the work within the timeline. The costs are high, the delay is going to be very expensive. Therefore, major challenge is this, and as you can see, each component is a big component. And in port development, one is linked with the other. It's like construction of a house. You do the foundation, then first floor, second floor, third floor, like that. You can't do something else unless you have done the foundation or first floor, you can't do second, something like that. Port is something like that. There are limits up to which you can do paralleling of activities. The guys who have done port CPM will also understand. So all including the challenging project, as I told you, it is going to be the biggest port in the country, among the 10 biggest container ports in the world, going to put India in big league. It has been planned as a big thing that we should be among the best. The challenge, another challenge which is there to provide employment to the local people, about which I partly talked in my earlier interaction. That local people should not feel that they have been left out in the development. But they are not employable. They have some education, but the education does not make them employable. So that is where question of skill development, upgrading competencies, etc. come. And that is where we are engaged, and I will seek help of CMMI in that as well, so that we are preparing local people to get employment and feel that their port is part of them. We are looking forward in all these directions, so I'm trying to meet the challenge. India has never failed in meeting challenge, it's only question of time, and that is the challenge. I hope I have been able to give you some structure of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. Absolutely right. Development needs time. And it was a very insightful discussion or other information on development of Vadhavan port. And definitely being a part of Sagarmala project, this is a great port to have on Indian shores. And I'm sure the audience will agree as well. Let's move on to our next topic. After this speech that Mr. Ramesh will deliver, then we're going to have a question and answer session. So please prepare your questions. Constrained with time, we will limit the questions to 20 minutes of entire session. So please prepare your questions and then we will take the questions as per the priority. Let's look at our next topic of this Viksit Bharat theme, which is the shipbuilding in India and a future of shipbuilding. So first we have seen the Red Sea crisis situation, then we have moved into development. Let's look at the future now. So it will probably enlighten you all into what India's plans are to becoming towards the maritime plans are rather to becoming towards the Viksit Bharat. Future of shipbuilding, of course, it's been always a discussion of topic in all the forums, and every mariner who has served on ship as well as the person sitting ashore has dreamt of India taking the place of China, Japan, Korea one fine day and develop that. So let's hear from the horse's mouth, so as to say. Let me call upon the speaker, Ramesh, just to introduce him. He's a naval architect who graduated from Andhra University in 1994. He began his career at Bharat Shipyard, and where he has gained valuable hands-on experience. Of course, all naval architects, when they work in the shipyard, they get into designing aspect of ship, and the futuristic study is one of the very prominent aspect. In 1999, he joined Indian Association of Shipping, where he has since then held several challenging positions, as I told you. And his career is distinguished by technical expertise, visionary leadership, and dedication to advancing both national and international maritime standards. Ramesh has also actively assisted shipyards and designers in overcoming a critical technical challenges. And that's what we want to hear from him as to how India should progress onto this path of being a shipbuilding nation. Mr. Ramesh, over to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The introduction was probably the bio would have been sent by the corporate affairs. I'm not that great. Anyways, I have, I hope, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? 15. 30 to 15. Okay, let me see what I can do. Yeah. And it's also difficult when you are the last speaker before the lunch. Everybody is looking at you with hope that you will leave soon, which I'll try. Anyway, it's a great pleasure to be here amongst this august gathering. The real maritime spectrum I can see, the marine engineers, the naval architects, the master mariners, the cadets, the flag, the operators, the class societies, all of us are here. I thank CMMI for giving me this opportunity to talk on this topic of shipbuilding, which is a very topical issue. And this topic is close to my heart, being a naval architect. as it touches all sectors of maritime sector. And it also has a multiplier effect on all the sectors down the line, generating the employment. Yeah. So now let's see where we go. While we all know that I'm trying to avoid use the collar mic, otherwise I'll be walking. Yeah. So India has a very rich history, and the recent government initiatives want to take it further. If you look at the vision documents of Maritime India Vision 2030, where we said we want to be among the top 10, and if you look at Maritime Amritkal Vision document, we want to be among the top 5, which is a very ambitious target, and I'm sure with all of us here, with the government support, we'll be achieving that. At the moment, if you look at it, we have about 45% of construction in China, about 25% in South Korea, and about close to 20% in Japan, which accounts to almost 90+% of construction happening. And if you look at it, we are probably 0.61%. We still talk about we are just about 1%, but we are 0.61%. The figures can be little here and there, depending on which report you are reading. And we should be at the moment around 22 to 23 in the world position. So galloping to 5 requires all resources that we have. And this is what Viksit Bharat needs. Now I'm not asking for people to clap. He's laughing there. Yeah. And actually, if you look at it, the government has already started, and this has started not just today, it started a couple of years ago with the defense production. You see, most of our platforms which are required for the defense are being built in India. One of the best being the aircraft carrier that was built by Cochin Shipyard. The Maritime Amritkal Vision covers various aspects, among which we talk about establishment of Maritime Development Fund, grading of shipyards, having a common database for the ship designs that are there to reduce the time of construction right from the date of contract. And the Maritime India Vision as well as the Maritime Amritkal Vision actually encompass the entire maritime ecosystem. I'm not dwelling into it. Now, when we look at the world fleet and the age of the world fleet, we find about 40% of the global fleet is close to 15 years old, of which about 42% are the bulk carriers. And these need to be replaced over a period of time. Yeah. And also there's a demand for the specialized vessels, the container ships that we are talking about in 24,000 tons and 25,000 tons, which we will eventually reach. Added to it is the recent environmental regulations where we talked about reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. This will also lead to fleet refurbishment, retrofits, and probably new constructions. This whole scenario that we're talking about is going to reshape the whole maritime industry and the ecosystem at large. We all know that shipbuilding, shipping is a cyclical project, right? But the way things are at the moment, it looks like we are in a super cycle, and if we harness our energies in the right direction, we are going to be definitely at the top 5 of the world. Now the shipbuilding industry, when we talk about ship design, we talk about shipbuilding in itself, we talk about ancillary industries that are there, we talk about skilling, training, all that we need to emphasize and spend some time on it. So I will quickly go through the ship design, then the shipbuilding, and how we can harness this. As I've already said, the ship design is a cyclical, sequential process. Earlier, the ship design used to be based on the commercial aspects of it, and today we are talking about also the environment aspects to it. So that the dimensions of the ships, the sizes of the ships, the fuel that you're going to use, all this is going to be impacted in the new era of shipping. And all this is going to be data driven, which earlier was a sequential thing. Today it becomes a process which is completely data driven. The experience of the ships can be collected and incorporated into new designs that we're talking about. We are also using things like virtual twin, which can also be used during the entire life cycle of the ship. Right from the word go, right from the design, everything is incorporated into this. We talk about virtual twins in virtually all sectors that we are, including medicine, we are talking about nowadays. Classification societies. The traditional role of a classification society is verifier of rules, compliances, safety standards. But with new technologies coming in, with the risk-based approach towards the design, classification societies also have transformed or transitioned into a role which is enabling role, collaborating role. So we are there with you to discuss the design right from the word go, assist you and facilitate compliance with the requirements and so on and so forth. The ship designers, if they work closely, when they get the order, if they work closely with the yards, with the classification societies, with the regulatory bodies, we can probably optimize the design to a point where you don't have to have a potential issue in the future. So we can actually mitigate those risks when we start working from the word go. And also, if we are interacting with the shipyard, we can also look at the locally available resources can be harnessed towards reduction in the cost and the time. And this also enhances, reduces delays and ensures that the ships meet both regulatory and operational standards, resulting in more integrated and a cost-effective approach. Here again, we are also talking about new technologies. So let us look at interacting with the academia, the IITs, the institutes that we have, in developing the new technologies that would be required. Some of the technological advancements that are happening which can help in faster production, faster turnaround times in the shipyards. We can use robotics, we can use CAD, CAM, modular construction technologies can be harnessed, and virtual reality and augmented reality can also be used towards the life cycle assessment of the ships. So we don't have to wait till the ship reaches the port to identify how much length of the pipe needs to be changed or can be identified much before. While we talk about shipbuilding, we need manufacturing of ancillaries in India, ensuring that the equipment, machinery and components are available at short notice. To reduce the turnaround times, again this is required. I know it's a difficult task when we have to develop this. We have spoken about engaging the academic institutions, Collaborating with international firms can facilitate technology transfer, knowledge transformation, and best practices. For a vibrant and a Viksit Bharat or Viksit Shipbuilding, the theme of this thing, the entire maritime sector has to work together. So for a Viksit Bharat, you need to have an Atmanirbhar ancillary industry. And this can only happen when we all come together. I am probably be insisting or emphasizing on collaboration is that all of us, the industry, the academia, the class, the regulatory bodies, the shipyards, the ship designers, the repair facilities, the ports, all of them to come together into a cluster, which is again covered in the Viksit Bharat vision document. While we talk about all this, we also need to ensure that skilled resources are available to us. I'm also tracking. Yeah, so this is an important aspect for our future to ensure that at 2047, if we have to be there where we want welders, we want apprentices at various locations, we want the naval architects, we want the marine engineers, we want the master mariners. All this has to be there, and all these energies and resources have to be harnessed. The future of the shipbuilding, with all the recent reports that we are reading from the newsprint, the various discussions that we are happening with the DG Shipping and the ministry. The future of the shipbuilding industry in India is poised for growth, and it will be driven by technological advancements, government support, and focus on sustainability. By addressing the challenges and leveraging opportunities, India can emerge as a key player in the global shipbuilding industry, contributing to the economic growth and the maritime security. Green shoots are already visible with some of the shipyards which were defunct over the last couple of years, probably some of them are more than a decade, are reviving, which is a good news for first step. The journey ahead may be complex, but with strategic planning and execution, the potential of success is immense. The mantra should be built in India and built for the world, which is being said or which is being announced by the Prime Minister, should also include our sector, the maritime sector. And towards this thing to happen, the shipyards would come together, compete domestically, but collaborate internationally. Then we'll have a Viksit shipbuilding industry of the future. And we as class, we are there to support you, help you and guide you in terms of risk-based plan approvals or risk-based assessment, surveys, etc. And we have a research and development department which can also be used towards new technologies. It could be methanol, it could be ammonia, it could be hydrogen fuel cell. And we also work on a lot of joint industry projects. Example being the Varanasi hydrogen fuel cell boats that are operating in Varanasi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Very engrossing topic, but we are very sorry to give you less time. And it always happens in all conferences for a last speaker who has much to share, but due to the time constraint, he does not, or he is not allowed to. And also, you were standing between the lunch and the audience's lunch, so I didn't want to, let our audience wait for the lunch. May I please call upon all the speakers on the stage now? Anish, please come. We'll have a question answer. Just about 2 questions we'll take. Anybody has got an interesting question, please ask. So the speakers are more intrigued three team answering them, and also the audience will be delighted to hear the answers. Please, one question.
Gajanan Karanjikar. At this stage, I would like to thank Mr. Ramesh and his team for offering us this beautiful venue. The air conditioning, the lighting, the audio video system, everything. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Hello. Yeah, we'll go in reverse order of presentations. Mr. Ramesh first. Thank you. Just ballpark figure. You said ancillary interest अपने पास नहीं है. So in ship construction in India, shipbuilding in India, how much of the steel as well as the machinery is actually imported for the commercial side and for the defense side? Is there any difference?
Yeah, there is. In the defense side, there's a lot of pressure from the government to procure equipment and machinery that is manufactured in the country. And in some of the projects, what we understand is it's almost 95% in some of the projects of the defense side. On the commercial side, it could be around 50%.
50%?
Yeah.
That's not bad. Thank you.
Any other question? Any other question? Yes. Please pass the mic there.
Good afternoon, sir. It is to Mr. Rajeeva Sinha ji. Firstly, sir, I want to know about Vadhavan port. I would like to know a little bit detail of the concessionary agreements. How does it work? And second is another question which I would like to know is about the timelines. Like, firstly, this is election season. We have just broken the coconut. What is the timeline for this? And is it going to be bound by timelines? We know there are difficulties which you expressed in your speech. But you know what happened, how long Virinjam took. And what is the competition with Mundra, Vadhavan and Virinjam when we compare ourselves with China? It's 20-year history. Thank you.
On Kalabari.
Hello. You have so many questions, I will answer short because of the lunch time waiting. You know. Firstly, the port, Vadhavan port is slated to be commissioned sometime in 2029-30. It's a 4 years will be taken in construction of breakwaters. And then along with that, after part of the breakwater is done, only the land reclamation, which is offshore as I pointed out to you, will start. So that's one part. Most of the work which will be done outside is on EPC basis. Idea of EPC basis is to get the best of technology. Because EPC contractor can devise better methods and come with the best planning than what we have offered. So that kind of leeway is available in EPC. You know, and it is on a FIDIC contract lines, you know, the whole contract is on FIDIC. So that internationally accepted contracting method, and therefore it should be able to attract the best of the global companies for the work. So far as the terminals are concerned, their work will start after the work of land reclamation has begun. So these are concurrently will take place. I hope I have answered in short. We can answer more or discuss more during lunchtime.
Concessionary agreements are also called.
Construction, I told you, FIDIC is the construction agreement basis. Changes will take place there depending on the actual specific situations. But basic is FIDIC, which is internationally accepted. Thank you.
Oh, very true. Thank you very much for this. And of course, we can continue discussion during lunchtime. I mean, he's a most wanted brain to be picked on Warden port. So you can. One question. Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir, you have been an expert in port development. You've done your studies in Malmo. You have helped Adanis with so much of port development. You've seen Byzantium. Now with this being a different type of port development, I don't see in your plan anywhere where you need area for storage. We had a problem in JNPT. It lasted for close to 12 years. And it was like, when you have a problem, you do something. When you have a problem, you do something. JNPT came up like that. Today, with your experience, do you foresee that you need at least 10 times the land space there of the port area, port operations? You are talking of 26 million TEUs turnover.
In short, see, 1500 hectares of land is getting reclaimed offshore. 1500 hectares. And every terminal, 1000 liters terminal, is being given 50 hectares of land for container storage. And 474 hectares of land is for railway lines. Number of railway lines there, so that, containers don't have to wait for being loaded, and the train do not wait somewhere, which is the problem today in the port, because having 2 lines only. So, that way, storage, and so far as the liquid storage is concerned, it is on shore. There was a trestle which you would have seen in the plan. Through trestle, the pipeline comes to the shore, and the liquid storage is there. Bulk cargo storage is there behind the berth. And in bulk cargo, what will be there? We expect steel kind of a thing, steel, that kind of a cargo which is dry and which is not dirty. I think that space should not be a problem if evacuation is efficient. So our plan, our thought, this process is to make the evacuation efficient. That's why we have dedicated road, dedicated railway lines, common railway terminal, enough railway line, the road which is being thought of 4 lanes to begin with, and 8 lanes subsequently, 4 lanes each, up and down. So, if the storage may become difficult if the evacuation is poor. Today that problem we are trying to face with this. I hope that holds.
Not at ports, sir. I am saying back office, back on the land. You need a large piece of land to store.
No, it is entire the offshore thing. No, so it is only a railway line, dedicated freight corridor.
They will have to plan that. I don't see that in the plan.
This is what is mentioned. It is only a dedicated freight corridor, which is the acquirement of the land. What government is already started now with the agreement.
Here it will depend on the private entrepreneurs to develop the backside of the port. Port is not going to get into that because it's not the core port activity, and then the investment itself is so high. Putting further load on that will be very, very difficult, with financial institutions. And mind you, it is not a budget port. Everything has to be raised in the market. So unlike other ports we developed on budgetary support, there is no budgetary support. So those are the constraints of doing further, land.
Thank you, sir.
One more question for Captain Joseph on the Red Sea, if anybody has got. We'll take a last question before the lunch. Please, Matthews.
Captain Anish Joseph, on a lighter note. Captain Anish Joseph, sir, on a lighter note, first Viksit, Bharat. I'm very happy you mentioned that not a single Indian flag vessel has been touched. Some news for you guys behind. Now, my question is, when the piracy was there at its top peak, the NATO forces blasted this Somalia coast, Puntland and all these areas. Why such type of action? What are we bothered about going, the government doesn't support and all that and encourage? You mean to say, like you have the, interception at high seas. Why can't you take an exception, approach the United Nations, go there and blast this again, stop this nonsense? For how long will we tolerate all this?
Sir, if I have to answer diplomatically, violence abets violence.
But we did succeed, sir. But we did succeed last time.
No, sir. We didn't succeed through violence. I'll give you exactly what happened. So, for you to understand why any conflict arises, you have to go to the root cause of the problem. The problem is because of Somalian governance. It was not because of back-end terrorist operations or anything. The fishermen there, because of IUU fishing, and it was because of confluence of various international fishing fleet coming and taking away the livelihood. That was one of the big reasons. There were other reasons also. One is with respect to multiple clans there and the factions which were not very strong. So the way we had this group which we call as CGPCS. What happened there was they started working in the capacity building front, and that's how this piracy could catch. One was with respect to capacity building. Second was with respect to the operational deployment of Navy, which was a deterrence. Third was, and which was the most effective, was use of armed guards. So these are the reasons why the piracy came down. And you must remember that this is a business model. Nobody in Somalia is profiting from this particular instance. It is someone who's sitting outside in some maybe probably European country or something, and they have a business model. So it's not just by going and firing those people. These people who are working back on will bring more people. From where are they getting the weapon? What will they do with so much of dollars of money which they receive? So you cannot just work by that's why I was saying violence abets violence. It's not going to be the eventually even all those political conflicts. Why we have to go through the Mahatma Gandhi way of answer. So that's all I'll have to say right now. Thank you.
Okay. This is the last question now.
It's not a question, it's just a follow-up.
Okay.
What Anish said, and a little bit more information that I can give on this. Especially when it was Somalia, don't forget that there was no functioning government. Second is the geopolitical issue. Third, which I can be blunt on it, when the Somali was at its highest, I was there, and everyone knew that the money was being transacted in that 1 square mile of the city of London. I used to call them pirates in pinstripe suits. That time I could not say it because of being there. But most of these issues are geopolitical, and they require a different skill set to solve them. You're seeing what is happening in Iran, Iraq, and you saw Lebanon, Gaza, and the Houthis, of course. It's far too complex for any one of us to give any kind of a solution that why we can't do this or not. It's way beyond us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and very nice. Thank all speakers for the enlightening discussions and addressing the queries of the audience. And I think we should now do the further proceedings now.
I'd like to invite our office bearers, Master Captain Basim, Deputy Master Captain Mohan Naik, and Secretary General Captain Vivek Bhandarkar. Please join us in the desk. So first, I will request the Master to present a plaque on behalf of CMMI to Captain Anish Joseph. Next, I would request our Deputy Master, to hand over this plaque to Shri Rajeeva Sinha. And then our Secretary General can hand over this plaque to Mr. Ramesh. And then I would like to thank our session chairman, Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Gajanan, I will hand this over to you. Thank you. Lunchtime, we meet again at 1400 hours.